Welcome back to another episode of Natural State Run Club. We're doing a Bentonville Half recap this time. We've got a lot of new faces, so we're going to give a couple introductions and then we'll get into sort of how the race went.
Well, I'll start. Okay, I'm Morgan. I've been in a couple videos, been running about 2 years coming up, and been a part of the run club for a little over a year.
I'm Hayden. I've also been running, I guess, about 2 years. Seriously. And then I've been going to the run club probably, I don't know, 6-8 months, maybe.
My name's Madison. I've been running for about a year, and I've been going to this run club for about a year. Well,
I'm Rachel. I've been running regularly for about a year and a half, and I've been part of the run club for about 6 months.
I'm Krista. I've been part of the run club since the beginning, which was
A couple years ago.
2 years
Yeah.
ago. I've been casually running for a couple of years, but probably more seriously started running in the fall.
What motivated you to run the Bentonville Half?
I can answer. I have been to many run events, races with Kevin and with Caleb. I've just seen a lot of people do pretty incredible things, either marathons or half marathons or ultras. And I've always wanted to be part of it, but I had never gotten my fitness, I think, to a level that I could participate in anything other than a 5K, which I did in 2021, I think. And I always kind of in the back of my mind thought I could probably do a half eventually. And then, I don't know, something just inside of me was like, I think now's the time to try it. I met some people at Speed who told me about the training plan, like the training group. A big group of people locally who meet and train for the Bentonville Half, and I thought that would be a good entry point for me to meet new people and maybe find people who would run my pace. And yeah, I think peer pressure is definitely part of it. Caleb especially is always egging people on to try harder things than they're even probably capable of, but with good intentions. So
Yeah, it's like you never know that boundary unless someone kind of puts it on a platter. But
Yeah.
maybe you can do this.
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
And I think it's inspiring to watch other people run races. It makes you want to go do it, and that's probably the main reason that I decided to try it for myself.
So I moved to Bentonville at the end of September of 23, and so I had done a half marathon training group in Springfield where I was from, and that was my introduction to group running, and I really enjoyed it, and it also motivated me to run, get ready to run a half marathon. And so when I moved to Bentonville, I looked up running groups, and I saw that there was a half marathon training group through Rush Running, and so I was like, I didn't know anyone when I moved here. So I was like, well, this will help introduce me to more of the athletic community here in Bentonville. Maybe I could make friends or meet some new people, find a running group, since I didn't have anything, I didn't know of anything to begin with. And so I signed up, I went to Rush Running the speed night at the track, and that's where I met Morgan, and she invited me to the run club, and so yeah.
Let's go Morgan.
Okay, what I would really say, definitely peer pressure. I've never ran more than a 5K before, and I've always wanted to run a little bit farther, but I never thought I could. So definitely being in the run club, seeing everybody do races and encouraging me helped me a lot, and encouraged me to sign up for the half. I will say the biggest influence would also be Morgan. She hyped it up so much, so that's why I signed up for the training group, and then did it.
Did it live up?
I did, yeah, I loved it.
I had always wanted to run a half marathon, since high school, but there was just never a good running community or places to run where I grew up, and then when I went to college, still not anywhere good to run around there. And so I just kind of was like, yeah, that would be fun to do one day, but not now. And then during COVID, I ran quite a bit at home, and I got up to 7 miles, so I was like, okay, maybe it's a little more in reach then went back to school and like still nowhere to run, no people to run with, and so just like let it go again. And then when I moved here 2 summers ago, and hung back out with Morgan, she was like, hey, I think we're gonna run the half, and I was like, God, I've always wanted to do that, but I didn't really want to do it. But then I was like, well, this is a perfect opportunity to do it. And so and knowing that like they had never ran before, I was like, oh, this is good. They're not gonna be like super far ahead of me, you know what I mean? So like decided to sign up, start training, and so I did the first half last April and then my second one this April, and yeah, running's changed my life, so it's been good.
I decided to run the half again this year for the second time because the first time I was super injured, and when I crossed the finish line, I was like had tunnel vision and had to hold on to poles, and I just didn't know, like it was not good. And this was like my redemption run, and I wanted to feel good when I finished. And then also because everyone else in the running group was doing the Bentonville half, and I have severe FOMO, so couldn't not.
Same. A couple of you have said that you have run a half before, you have done some running before, so I think you probably came into the Bentonville half with some goal in mind. What was that goal, and how did it go for you on race day?
I can start. Like I said, I wanted this to be a redemption run for me and to crush this half marathon and have fun doing it. The Bentonville half is the only like smaller town race that I've been a part of that has had such crowd support and been like so well organized and just such a big event for the town. And I just love that part of it, and I feed off of that energy. And then also I was pacing Hayden for her to PR, and I had never done that before. So that was like a lot of pressure, and I wanted to do good and be a good pacer. I'm like trying to do math while running, and it was just like that meme where you're like all the numbers are floating through the air. That was me. But yeah, so that was my main goal, was to help Hayden reach her goal and to feel good.
So to go off that, my goal was to PR, and I did, thanks to Morgan. She matched. She actually like really did good at math because we beat my time by 4 minutes, like my goal time by 4 minutes.
Dang.
My time from last year was like a 9-minute difference, so I was very, very happy about that.
Well, that wasn't your real goal.
What?
I was told her goal was sub 2:10.
Yeah, which it was.
But her real goal was sub 2:07, and she did not tell me that.
But we got 2:06, so it all worked out.
Dang.
I didn't tell anybody
Until
that.
after the race, she was like, "I'm so glad my actual goal was under 2:07."
But I would have been happy under 2:10.
Yeah.
So like, it was fine. I thought that was unreasonable to be under 2:07. But I had a friend that did the Little Rock half for the first time, like a few weeks before that, and she got 2:07, and I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to delete that. But I didn't tell anyone because I didn't think it was going to be possible. But it was, thanks to Morgan. I did not feel great afterwards, so I was like tunnel vision, but it was very worth it. And
Next year.
yeah, yeah, we can talk about that later. But that was my goal, was to PR, and I did, so I was very happy about that.
The one thing I told myself when I signed up for a half was that I was giving myself complete permission to walk the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really my goal, is just to like get the mileage done. And I hadn't planned on running it when I signed up. I was like, I'll run a little bit, because at that point my 5K was a run walk 5K. It was not like I ran that 5K in 2021, but I hadn't like run a 5K continuously in a couple years, and I was doing run walk, which was working for me, and I was like, it's okay, just finish. But as I got started, I was like, I can probably run this at a slow pace, but I don't know. So I guess the goal was just to finish, and I exceeded that goal because I ran the majority of the race. So that was exciting, because I think it was like you kind of gaslight yourself a little bit into like signing up for things, and then once you're in it, you're like, I could probably do more than that. Like you did. You're like, yeah, 2:10, but actually 2:07.
We finished in like 3:15.
3:15. Yeah.
Nice.
That was like my reach goal too. It was 3:30.
Yeah, 3:30 was your stretch goal.
Yeah.
beat the sweeper was the first goal.
Yes, the first goal was to beat the sweeper before they tore everything up.
Yeah, that's just kind of bouncing off of that. That's one of my favorite things about this running group is the variety of runners. Like, it's such a welcoming group because there are people literally all over the place. Like, if you want to run fast one day, you can. If you want to go 5 miles one day, you can. If you want to go 1 mile at a pace that feels comfortable, you can. And there's like someone else to run with you. And I just think that's great.
My goal going into it was to PR. The first half marathon that I ran was Glacier, but I had also hiked the Highline Trail the day before that, which was over 20 miles, and climbed the mountain. And then for the Glacier half, the first 6 miles you were literally running up a mountain switchbacks. So I was not running for speed in that race. I was just running to enjoy the views and hope my body didn't fall apart. And so running the Bentonville half, it was like to see what I could do, also enjoy it because it was so well organized, and just run with the people, like the new friends that I had met. But I also wanted to run faster than what I did last year, which was definitely possible, but still I just wanted to see what I could do. So yeah, this half marathon I ran 15 minutes faster than last year.
Nice.
So I think it was 2:04 or something that it was at.
Thanks.
But yeah.
Congrats.
Nice. Yeah, so I've never ran a half marathon before, but my goal just going into it was just to finish it, just to run it. And I did that. So I didn't really care about like the time or anything. I just wanted to cross the finish line and be alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Still here to tell them.
Yeah. So and I felt pretty good. Like when I finished, it wasn't like tunnel vision or anything.
Yeah.
So that was my goal.
Yeah. In terms of say like gear or training, fuel, shoes, anything like that, like what do you think worked really well for you? What was something that you would definitely do next time?
I love New Balance. And those are the shoes I always wear for training and for race day.
Sponsorships?
Please. So the New Balance Super Cop trainer, and it has a carbon plate, so I also use it for race day shoe as well. But I love that to death. Love that shoe so much. And then I always use Huma gel. Sometimes I use Tailwind, I'd say the majority of the time, in like a water bottle, calories and electrolytes. And then sometimes I'll use Element, which is high sodium electrolytes that I love. And so that is like my go-to. I think that day, this was a couple of weeks after we ran the 50K, and I gleaned a lot of encouragement from Kevin and Daniel and Caleb during the 50K to use to help pace Hayden, I think, because they were kind of pacing me in the 50K, unbeknownst to them. But so I kind of took that into the half and felt like proud, even though in the back of my mind, I'm married and my husband is like, anytime I'm encouraging him, he's like, could you stop talking? And so he just like silence and doesn't want to be like, oh, good job, you're killing it. And so the whole time I'm like, does Hayden like this? Does she hate it? I don't know. But then she was like, no, keep going, please. So it was like very good. Like I felt really good about that aspect of it.
I'm still learning like what I like and what to use and what I don't use and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I really like using Element as well. I just like the saltiness of it. But anyway, I really enjoyed that. I might not have, but they also supposedly have electrolytes during the race, but it felt like everything that I was getting was water.
Yeah.
So I was really
Yeah.
glad that I had Element. And then for shoes, I really like the Brooks Glycerins. So that's normally what I use. But I really am wanting to try the New Balance. So maybe next time.
Give it like 6 months and the whole run club will be wearing that shirt.
We're halfway there.
But also, actually, were you guys surprised how warm it was for the race?
Yeah.
So I felt like a lot of people, even though it was chilly in the morning, a lot of people were wearing jackets and so much extra
Overdressed.
clothes. Yeah. And I was wearing like shorts and a tank top. And even though I was cold in the morning, as the race progressed, I was so thankful I did not bring extra clothing because
Oh, yeah.
I would have been burning up.
Yeah.
I think
So-
the difficult thing about this half is it is in the beginning of April, but you train December through
Yeah.
March.
Mm-hmm.
And come race day, that was the first time it was like 70 degrees ever this whole year.
Yeah.
And so it's just really hard to prepare. And it's kind of a big mental hurdle as well, especially when you're being told it's going to be 75 degrees on race day. Like, you're going to be really, really hot, so just expect it. I think that's just an added layer of difficulty. But yeah, it was pretty warm.
To do this race that I've started to do, which I was so against last year, was carrying a water bottle because I just like hated it. I don't know why, but once I've like started doing it, I'm like, oh wow, this is way nicer. And so that is one thing that I'm glad that I'm doing now and will continue to do. Just finding the right one, because I think like the first couple that I had, I just didn't like the feel of them, and like
Yeah.
I didn't like them like squishing around. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it now.
I had a running vest and I really enjoyed it. Had all my water in it. I used the lift shoes.
Oh,
whatever.
the
Yeah.
blocks.
The blocks, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so I like those a lot. But then it like whenever it got hot, yeah, no, the shoes, any type of goo was like not setting well with my stomach. I was like, it's too hot for that. So probably need something different in the future for that. And I also used Element for long nights.
I think for me, as far as fuel, like nutrition, I'm really glad that I used what I trained with in the race, and that I get a lot of advice from Kevin because like he's experienced. So like I think I'm at a bit of an advantage because I've been around it. I kind of like know what people do.
Yeah.
But it was a little weird to get used to eating while running. I didn't like that at first, but I'm glad that I tried a ton of different gels and stuff in the beginning, but I picked the Huma ones and the blocks, and I kind of like switched between the two depending on how I felt or like what flavor I wanted in the moment. So I'm glad that I practiced that on long runs, so that I was kind of used to it and knew like the timing of what was working for me, because I pretty much every 30 minutes was taking a gel or eating a couple of blocks, and I think that really helped keep my energy up throughout the race, but I only knew that because I had practiced it before.
Right.
And then with that, I liked the long runs that we did on the course, because we trained on part of the course, and we had run the majority of it throughout the months that we were training. And for me mentally, that was really helpful, because I got to a point in my head where I knew how far it was to the end ish, and I was like, oh, I've done this before, like I can get to that point. And then once I hit, because there was a section like when we ran down that big hill that we had never done before, which was that was probably the hardest part for me, because I didn't know when it was going to stop. So I liked mentally knowing how my body felt in comparison to how far I had gone on the course. I did buy a new pair of shoes pretty close to when the race started, because I was having big issues with my toes, like getting smashed in my Hokas. It was getting really painful, like to a point where I didn't think I was going to be able to run more. And I did a lot of research. I bought a pair of Topos, which are known for their wide toe box. And so my little toes are like free in those shoes. And I loved them. I loved running in them for that long. I didn't get any blisters. I didn't have any toe pain. So that was like a sort of an audible towards the end where I was like, I've got to change my shoes. And I did, and I'm glad it worked out.
Thanks.
All of us were part of the Bentonville training program, right? So, Chriso, that was like your first half. Madison, that was your first half too. So, like, what did you guys think about the training program as a whole? Does it make running accessible? Do you think it helped?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's an amazing like training group. And program if you've never ran a half marathon before. I do feel like you have to have a good amount of like some running experience, just because I feel like the distance kind of picks up pretty quickly. But you get like the little goodie bag with, you know, like socks and like different like goos and stuff like that. So like that was fun to kind of try those things out. And just like meeting every Saturday morning and like knowing that you have to do that. That was really helpful. And since we got to like run parts of like the course of the half marathon, that was very helpful, especially for my first half that I've ever done. Just knowing where I was going and knowing that I had already ran that was super helpful. So I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to others.
I think it has the potential for certain people to be really beneficial. I thought just having the knowledge base of being around runners, I thought a lot of like the education was things I already knew, like how to stretch, how to warm up, how to, good reminders along the way to be doing all those things. Unfortunately, I think at the pace that I run at, there were not a lot of other participants that were in my pace group. It started out that way, but I think the first like 3 weeks weeded out a lot of people that weren't ready to take on that mileage, because it was hard for me to keep up with the mileage after like the first couple weeks. But we noticed, because Kevin ran with me on the training group days, but besides Kevin and the volunteers, I didn't have anybody else running in my group. So I really wanted it to be a way to meet people who could run with me. But the only people I met were the pacers, basically, which were great. But I wanted to make more running friends, and that didn't happen really, because when you're on the training run, you talk to the people in the group, you meet people that way. But the person I ran with every Saturday was Kevin, which was amazing. But you're not like a new friend. So I was a little disappointed. More marketing to beginners, I feel like, I don't know, you kind of set people up for failure if they don't know what to expect.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I wish it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And the beginning, like the first few weeks or like month, could just be go out and run a mile.
Like base,
Like
every day.
Yeah, like get a foundation, because you're given a training plan and you have weekday runs, and then you have a long run that starts at 1 mile and every single week builds up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like it's a lot. And when you're adding up the weekday miles onto the long run miles, that's a lot if you're going from 0. Like it's not really, it's for beginners, but that's tricky, I think, and that leads to a lot of injuries. So I wish there was, I don't know how else to do that except extend it. But
Training plan was good. I just wish that there were more people that ran my pace so I could make more friends.
Yeah.
But who's to say that next year there wouldn't be other people running that?
Right.
But that does also give me motivation to get a little faster so I can like jump up to the bigger size training groups that have more people in them.
I did the Fleet Feet training group last year, and what I really liked in helping people get to know each other is that they also met on Tuesdays in addition to Saturday mornings. And Tuesdays was always a 3 to 4 mile run for the entire training group. You could run more if you wanted, but it helped everyone get to know their pacers and their group better. And I feel like with the Bentonville training group, you literally only met on Saturday morning. Like they encourage you to go to speed if you'd like to. You could join another group if you wanted to, but like it was literally only Saturday mornings that you would run with them, and then all of the other training was up to you. And so I feel like that would help. Meeting at least one other time during the week, especially for people that are new to group running, would grow the community and help them not grow, but like grow in the communication, and also help people form more friendships rather than just meeting at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning and you're tired and you don't really want to be there, but it's also the accountability of the group, and you just like, okay, I just need to get through this run so I can go on with my weekend, like, So I feel like meeting one other time would have been nice. especially for people that are new and didn't really know other people as
Yeah.
well.
I think the last question I've got is just really any closing thoughts that you have about Bentonville Half, the weekend, the race.
I have a thought about the training plan, and to my knowledge, we never ran a really long run. Well, let me back up. So the Bentonville Half includes a really long hill at the very, very end. Like the last 3 miles are all pretty much uphill, and then there's a big hill included that's like the hill. And to my knowledge, during the training, we never did a really long run and then also included the hill. And that just really changes the dynamic. Like if you're doing a 5-mile run and then the last couple of miles include the hill, that's all well and fine. But you didn't just run 10 miles and then do the hill. Like that's such a mental battle. So I kind of wish, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think any week we did close to the half marathon distance and then included the hill, or like total. So I kind of wish they would do that, because I think that would help. Because it's, even though you're running the hill occasionally, we didn't do it every week, but you run it occasionally, I still feel like come race day, you almost forget like how freaking hard it is. And I mean, you're already drained, you've just run 10 miles, and now you just have to push it up this hill. So I wish we did more of that. And there were several runs where Hayden and I would finish the group run. Well, there was a couple times, I think twice that we did this, finish the group run, and then we would go run the hill just to try to get some like action on the hill. But then another factor is the hill that we ran last year is not the same hill we ran this year. There was like major construction, a new bridge was being built, so the hill was different. Like it was longer but not as steep. It was hard. And that hill, the new hill, opened the day before the race. So no one got to go run it unless you went the night before the half marathon and ran it. So that was like very difficult.
Yeah.
And Hayden and I, since I was pacing her, we had run the old hill, and I'm like, okay, when we hit this mile marker or like this landmark, we got to pick it up. And like when we hit this flat, we're good to pick it up. But doing this new hill, I'm like, I don't freaking know what we're doing. Like we're just gonna push it and fingers crossed, hope for the best. So that was difficult. But overall, I think the race is super well organized. It's super fun. A ton of people do it. It's great to be in a community that like values runners and like people doing hard things together. I think that's just invaluable. So.
Yeah, I really enjoyed like all the signs and everybody coming out to support. That was really, really encouraging. I thought it was a good race. I didn't love how hot it got. That really affected me. It made me have to slow down, so that was a con.
Yeah, but you finished it.
I did finish.
And then he
Came back, the race was pretty funny to me. I know me and Morgan have kind of talked about this, but like I feel like I was trucking along for like 10 miles, and then the last 3, like I was down bad, and Morgan was like really being like she was saying, I'm really being a good encourager, and I was telling her like just keep talking to me, like I cannot talk, but just keep talking to me. And like when we went up the hill, like that's when I was just like just like zoned in on her, because I was like I cannot lose sight of her, because she was going a little bit ahead of me. Like, I could just see Morgan, she steps ahead of me, and I was like just focus on her. And then I could tell she was like doing the math, and I was internally kind of freaking out a little bit, because I was like, we're not gonna make it. But she was like, we just need to pick it up a little, and in my head I was like, I can't. but we did. And I don't think we talked about this, but there was like some ladies beside us that were like, we're at 2:05 or something like that, and we still had like a ways to go. And I was like, why would you say that? Because in my head I was trying to go for 2:07, so I was like, we've blown 2:07. But obviously that wasn't right, because
I don't know what.
But I wish they wouldn't have said that, because that made me really get in my head. I was like, well, we didn't make it. But then when we got up to like where you can see the finish line, also that is a much longer stretch than you think it is. You round that corner, you can see the finish line,
but you also have everyone screaming.
Yes, which really helps.
Like,
but I remember like picking it up a little bit, and then I was like, man, that's still a long ways away. But I could see the clock, and I saw that it was like well under 2:10, so that's when I was like really excited again, and just so thankful that Morgan did it. You did it. I know, but it was cool, but it was funny thinking back on it. I was like, man, I blacked out a lot, but I was appreciative that we got it done. Beat my goal, so.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I would also just want to say that it was really nice to have support from everybody in the run club. I remember texting y'all and being like, I'm dying.
I think you said, I just got to the hill, I'm dead. And we were like, recon.
Recon.
This can't happen.
Yeah, so Morgan and Daniel came and ran the
Oh, really?
last mile with me, and that was really sweet, and that helped me a lot because I was not doing well.
Yeah, I remember telling Kevin, we had like, I was looking forward so much to that marching band up that last hill, and they were gone by the time we got there, which was really sad because I was like, I knew that it was going to be there because Kevin had told me they're like there every year. They were not. There was just some dude sitting at the top of the hill that was like, yeah. So that was disappointing, but like I told him at the top of that hill when we crossed that street right before the last turn, I was like, I have nothing left. I think I said that like 3 times. I was like, I've got nothing left. Like this is like empty tank. And then we hit that corner, and then I heard like everybody like screaming. Everyone was going wild, and there's not a lot of people left because it's the end of the group. And our little run club was like there screaming, and it really like made a difference because I had nothing to give, but then like I got a little bit of extra help from everybody else, and then we finished. I'm always that person for everybody else, and it was like I was embarrassed too because like you're like, oh my god, everyone's like I don't like attention and everyone is watching me, right? So I'm like embarrassed, but at the same time it was like also really amazing. But it's cool to be. It makes me realize how important it is to be that for somebody else, and to have people encourage you. Because sometimes like attending for somebody, you just stand around for hours, you know, but then like those key moments that they see you and they get excited by seeing you, I don't know, it makes a big difference. It will make me a better cheerleader for other people, knowing what it's like to be in the race. I also think one more thing is that I appreciate, because I'm a slower runner, I appreciate the events that don't shut down everything for the end. All the aid stations had water. They all had volunteers still. Like even towards the end, like people weren't packing up because I planned for that. Like I planned to have extra water to save if the last aid station was done before we got there. So I really appreciated that everyone stayed until the last runners were done. Because I know not every race is like that. A lot of people are like, you missed the cutoff, we're taking the arch down, like, bye. So they do a really good job at including all paces. And like that, I think one of the last finishers was like a 90-year-old man or something. And people were like cheering. There was like a bunch of people around cheering.
Yeah.
Inclusivity. Well, I don't know if we're gonna do another one.
It makes it less intimidating to think about doing one. So.
When we crested the hill, the whole time, I feel like the last 3 miles, I was just like, and when we get to the top of the hill, there's gonna be this ass marching band. And marching bands, I don't know why, they make me cry. And I was so excited for this marching band. We get to the top of the hill, I'm like, why don't I hear anything? I turn, which they were kind of in a different place than they were last year, but I turn and they're all just like standing there looking around. And I'm like, play something! Like, we're just, come on, this is like what we ran this race for. I don't even want the medal at this point, I just wanted to hear the marching band. So that was fun.
Did they not play that for you guys either? Okay,
It
well
was,
I'm not
like,
the only
silent.
one who didn't
Really?
experience
Yeah.
the drum.
Like right
I think they
after
were
I
in,
passed.
no, they were like still standing there. I think they were just in between
Okay.
songs.
Okay.
But I was like, here we are. There's runners.
Encourage us now.
So, that's a bummer, but
Oh wait, we will share it because there were lots of PRs.
Oh
my gosh. Dun, dun, dun,
Okay, so you each get to hold him for a minute, and someone can take him home.
Look at him, he's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yay!
I think I saw a baby one.
Oh.
Oh, a real
Aw.
baby?
Yeah.
I thought you meant a fake. I was like, why would you not get it?
It needs a baby.
I know.
Here you go.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
The
That's
baby
an
mascot.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for a Bentonville Half recap. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe to the channel to see more updates. We're going to do more running videos throughout the summer. I feel like we've got some pretty exciting races coming up the rest of the year, so stay tuned. We'll see you in the next one. Keep it natural.
Woo! Keep it natural. I like that. I like that.
Nice.